Hello, my name's Stephen Carr, and I'd like to welcome you back to another SketchUp cooking class. In this class, we're going to conclude our SketchUp tutorials by doing our isometric views or our isometric sections, just to make sure that everybody's clear on everything. Our plan view and plan sections were done in parallel projection. All our elevations, we use the section tool, but they are really elevations, and they are also in parallel projection. And now that we're going to be doing sections, we should be changing into perspective view. We want to do perspective views. So I'm going to use the position camera tool. Right now I've got my roof and ceiling and molding layers turned off, so I'm going to orbit so that I can do a section view looking from the kitchen into our room. So if I just orbit so that I'm basically in this position, I can click into my camera tool position and just click right there, and it sets us up with our little view. So I will turn on I've got a backdrop layer I can put on. I've got a ceiling layer, curtains I can put on. I'm going to put my moldings on, my roof on. So I've got everything basically turned on, and now we're inside the room. Now that once I've positioned the camera, I have the look around tool, which allows me to basically just look around. What we're looking at is an elevation of about 5'2". Looking at the room, this is what our camera position would be in. Now from this position, everything is looking actually quite good, but I would like to just review a couple of different tools. We have the zoom tool, and the zoom tool actually gives us an angle. This is the angle of view, so if I want to increase that to say 55, I can increase that to 55, and you can see that this gives me a much greater view of the room. So I might want to move in. I might just even want to change this to say 45. So you can have a look at what it looks like there, or maybe 50. When you get close, then what you would be a good thing to do to get it to be a little bit more refined, you can go into camera and field of view. And so now you can you can see that you're just doing it in degrees. So you can actually go in and set this up quite nicely so that we've got a nice angle looking inside that room. Nice viewing angle. And then once we're set with that viewing angle, this is the view that I would like to work with. Now I do have this one chair here which seems to not really be doing anything, so I can select it and hide it. And it looks like I actually hid all my furniture, so I can hide that one there. And I could probably hide this one. I don't know if they're really helping any. So probably in the end I could have just hid my other piece of furniture. So again, if I go into my camera field of view, just see if I can get a little bit more. It's kind of nice to get a little bit of the wine glasses and things on here. So this is setting it up, and I'm quite happy with this view now. So I'm going to again add a view, and I'm just going to move that over to the end. So this one becomes my section 1. And it's rendered. So now I can bring in my styles, and again I can work away with my styles. I can black and white. This is colored. And I have my backdrop view is turned off here, so I'll just put it back on. Not that it would, well, it actually won't matter because you won't see it. So, and it is actually on. It's just because it's an image, you can't see it. So I'm going to add a view here. And this one becomes Section 1 Colored. So that's pretty good. There's my Section 1 rendered, Section 1 colored, and I'm going to add another scene. And this time I'm going to be looking for my black and white. And again, I'm not sure, I've got a couple of black and white ones in here. I'm looking for my detail. I seem to have lost some detail in this area. I'm going to view, edges. Well, I guess that's what we get. It's a little interesting that I'm losing this edge here. I guess that was going into my furniture, which I didn't notice at that point. So I'll go back to my Section 1 here and update it. Section 2, which should be colored, and update that one. If I go into my last section, and this is where we were looking at the different options. There, now things are a little bit easier to see, so I will update that. And then we need to just rename this. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. If I go back to my first section, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, again, I could go to my top view. So if I go into my, I'll just go into this view here, extents. And with my layers, I'm going to turn off my ceiling and my roof. So in orbit, I'm just going to orbit around like this. And now I'm just going to take my camera position and click it here. And again, go through the same process of turning off my roof, or turning on my roof, turning on my ceiling, and everything else I believe is turned on, except for my image. So that's kind of cool. So again, I can view this by orbiting around a little bit. I can go into my tools here and change this to say 55. It's a little bit large, so maybe again I'll change that to 45. And I'll go into my camera and get my field of view and just try to just adjust it a little bit so that I'm a little bit happier with that. Once I've got that section set up and I'm happy with it, now I can also just right click, add a scene. And again, with my scenes, I'm just going to move it to the end. And then I'm going to change my style to color, add a scene, And then I'm going to change my style to black and white and go into View, Edges, and Profiles. And again, I can also add a scene. And that sets it up pretty good. The only thing I might want to do is I might want to have this scene here with no lines. So I could go into View, Edges, and just turn that off. And then just save this. And if I wanted to, maybe I could do the same thing with this scene here. I can, again, go set it up with no lines, View, and add a scene here. So now this is kind of cool. I haven't named my scenes properly here, but that's fine. I think you understand how we can do that. Exporting, and again, now if you haven't exported any files, or if you're not sure what if you've changed them or whatever, at this point we can actually go File. This is kind of cool. File, Export as an animation. And this time, instead of doing an AVI file, I can set it as a JPEG. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to save each scene. So it's going to take a little while to do this. So I'm just going to click on to Export here. And I'm just going to pause the video for a second. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do now is export these as an animation. But when I do that, this time I go Export as an animation. And in my options, I'm just going to bump this up to 1200. And I'm going to change my frames to, I'd like to change my frames to 1. Looks like it's only going to let me change them to 5. Because what it's going to do is it's going to do a scene for each one. So just going to say OK and export. And that will be, at the end of this, it will be there. So I'll just pause this for now. Okay, at this point, what we need to do is we need to export our scenes so that we can bring them into Photoshop. And at that point, everything will be ready to take to Photoshop and have fun. See you soon.